March 7, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. It was another high volume day. It was really, really choppy. This is what the chart looked like and how I drew it up. So it's got these big legs, these big swings. A couple of measured moves were completed, and I actually had to take off right around 8 o'clock, so about right here. So I was actually here live trading from open to about 8 o'clock, and then from 8 o'clock onwards, I wasn't able to trade. So that's how come this video is coming out so late, is because I just got back to start the review. So the review and these setups that I've marked are going to be a little bit more biased because I did go back to where I left off and walk the bars one by one to see how I would have reacted and whether I would have marked it as a true trade. But unlike in real time, you're not under the pressure of this tick count running out and the next bar printing. So the decision making is certainly more leisurely, so you can actually make better decisions. So whether I mark these as possible trades, it's hard to say that I would have seen it as a possible trade in real time. And there's also a possibility that in real time I would have marked other trades that were more sketchy, just because, in the moment you're under stress, you might just see something that's actually not there. I managed to take one trade early on or earlier in the day and was profitable. It's right here, this boxed one. And then I didn't really see any further trades. And then when I came back tonight and looked at the setups, I marked these other trades. Again, it's a little bit more biased. So still good exercise to do just to get more chart reading and practice in. I think there's 2 times economic data came out. One was, you see this big green bar here, was the average hourly earnings and the non-farm employment change, also the unemployment rate. And then I think the other thing, according to Forex Factory, was around 9:30, which was when Fed Chair Powell, looks like it's right here where this rally started to speak. And then I think later, President Trump came out later in the afternoon, maybe around Pacific Standard Time of noon. He had some kind of crypto summit, and then he came out and gave some commentary. And as with anything during his Q&As, he just talks about all kinds of things, which could have moved the market any which way. But again, I wasn't even here to trade after 8 o'clock. So in the pre-market, it's just very choppy. You can already tell there's going to be kind of a high volume day, which is kind of the norm that has been going on lately. I think it's the effects of tariffs and Trump giving his press conferences, saying one thing, doing another. So it's just been really, really volatile. So I found this yellow down channel as a break and makes one attempt. Then it looks like it was 2 legs up. Then it makes a 3rd leg up. So this is already an area that's a little more confusing to me. You can find technical second entries, both long and short, but they're not necessarily, for me, context-wise, apparent on which way the market should be going. So it pushes up, breaks down below the EMA, and it starts moving up. So I eventually found this blue channel, but I had it at one time at different angles. Like this one was pretty steep, and then it broke out. So it's from here, it's a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short failure. But it's a little congested here because these candle bodies are side by side. Pushes up. It kind of has a small break here, but I could justify it if I just kind of tweaked my channel just slightly. Pushes up. There's no clean second entries. It breaks out, creates a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but it's far from the EMA. You also have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. So you could say it's a second entry short failure and a second entry long. So 2 key entry points, but it's a little far from the EMA. It's a little kind of in the area of I'm not too sure, so I left it alone. Prices move up. It creates a new high, it's a first entry long pullback, creates a second entry long, It almost touches the EMA, which I thought was good enough, comes back, and it actually creates a higher low. So I actually jumped the gun on this, which wasn't the best practice because it confirms the second entry long. The first break of this blue channel, which actually had weird like this now, because I said this actually fits pretty well, touches the top sides and the bottom sides, rides it pretty well. So it's the first break of this blue up channel. I'm thinking it's going to break back in, or move back in and test the high. So when it opened and flushed down, it broke above the original signal bar for the second entry long. I jumped in early, came back, picked me up, and I'm not trading any runners, at least for the time being. It flushed up and took out my, gave me my trade, which is really quick. But in hindsight, I should have waited for this bar to close because I jumped in early, as I said. This one adds a little bit of ambiguity. So it's like first entry long, second entry long. This follow up trigger bar isn't the strongest. So it should have been a warning to me to be, okay, just wait. Then when this one closes, then it'd be safer to jump in. And as you can see, it would have still been good enough for a 1 point scalp. So it would have been safe to just wait. So it's definitely a rushed trade. Prices move up, comes down on this orange down channel, breaks, keeps moving down, bounces, and moves up on this green up channel. There's a first entry short here, and that's pretty much what you get. Then there's a second entry short here. I'm going to move this kind of out of the way. It looks like it still needs to test the highs of this green up channel, so it didn't quite do that, so I didn't mark it. Moves sideways, it's kind of congested, breaks down on this orange down channel, so I thought this was probably a measured leg, one leg down, push up, second leg down. I'm looking for a potential bounce point here if there's a decent setup. Prices move, so it actually hits it now. So I'm thinking there's this yellow, there's this orange down channel, breaks, tests the low. Potentially the low has been tested and it has hit a measured move. Is there a potential bounce? I need to see a good clean setup, like a higher low or ideally a second entry long. So it's an inside bar. I don't quite like it. It pushes up. Now it's struggling. It might be a potential higher low here. So this is a higher low and it pushes up. So there's a higher low here. Actually should have marked it. Great potential with enough room to the EMA. And then it bounces around. It starts moving up what I think is yellow up channel. Breaks out. There's an overshoot here. So first entry long. Technically, I have a second entry long off a terrible looking signal bar, so there's no trade there. Flushes down. So I actually see this as a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, failure on a second entry long, potential lower high, but it's more of an almost trade because it failed second entry long. It might be a third touch confirmation of this green down channel. And the thing is, the measured move has been made. So now it's kind of pushing up. To ask it to push down more, it felt a little sketchy because this orange down channel has tested the low. So I'm not thinking it's going to come back, especially when it made 2 attempts already. But it's a little ambiguous because this yellow up channel is a little more shallow. It has an overshoot. So is it going to reverse back up? I'm not sure, but I marked it as lower high, but not a good trade. So it's an almost trade. So I'm just kind of sitting and waiting now. And then prices continue moving down on this green down channel. The measure move has clearly been made, so it's like a third leg down. I'm not sure what's happening, so I'm just kind of sitting on my hands. It does hit the bottom of the pre-market low. I'm thinking maybe there's going to be a bounce here. Keeps flushing down. Now it's just getting choppy and noisy. It's a new low. Say first entry short, pullback. Technically, you have the second entry short here, maybe a third touch confirmation. It has a failed breakout here. So I'm thinking it might be a corresponding push on this side, but I'm not too sure. This is down, and it starts moving on this. There's a steeper down channel. Now it's more shallow. So I'm again sitting on my hands. No real setup that I particularly like. I need to at least come back to the EMA or show some kind of better setup, like a clean second entry short. You don't get that, and it kind of keeps flushing down. It pushes up. So first entry short, second entry short potential, well, second entry short failure here now. And I don't really like anything that I see. Moves up. It's first entry long, pullback. You technically get a second entry long here, but it flashes up pretty quickly that I'm not really sure what I'm looking. I'm not really sure what to make of it. And plus, it's getting close to my step out time, so I wasn't too eager to jump in. Prices move up. Hits a high, so I couldn't really get a channel, but I saw his one leg pullback, second leg, but it really couldn't quite set up a channel, so it's just more of an area that's just a little choppy. Prices start moving down on this orange down channel, so first entry long, pullback. Technically a second entry long here, but it's not the cleanest. There's also bad signal bar. Break of this orange down channel. The first entry short, second entry short, bad signal bar. Right at the EMA, prices are just horizontal. So I kind of saw this at the last moment because I'm about to step out. I saw this as a new low, say first entry short, pullback, second entry short, second entry short, failure. As a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Second entry long is confirmed, and the failure on the second entry short is confirmed. But you can't do anything when you see this. When you finally see this setup, or you see this follow through, it's too late to, I feel like, to take a trade because it's a little too choppy. Plus, in my own personal instance, it's too late for me to take a trade because I need to step out. So I saw this and I thought, okay, is there something here? I'm not sure. I was able to watch it for a couple more bars, but then the rest going forward is after the fact. This is me reviewing now, clearly after the market is closed. So it kind of chops around. It's this trading range. I see something here. It's a new low. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short, I thought is a possible trade. It's very aggressive though, because this is a 34 tick bar, but I liked it to move one tick above, and it took back this big body move all the way down to here. So I thought this was like potential second entry short, but it is very, very aggressive though. It did push below the EMA, which is a little sideways. So prices then continue moving, breaks below. So I'm thinking there's a measured leg here potentially. One leg down, pull back, and potential second leg. So I'm looking for the low, pre-market low, as well as the bottom of this measured leg. Pressing down, it almost touches the first entry short. Now it comes back and touches here. So I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be nice if it can set up like a lower high, or, well, depending on if I think this is a strong enough support to create a bounce. But I like that this green down channel is holding, so I'm actually more bearish. So I'm thinking this measured move is going to not really hold and keep going down. It kind of does that, but there was no clean setup. Technically, you say there's a lower high here, but lower high off of really what? Because these are all lower highs. So there's no, other than it being a lower high, there's no real setup to back this up. Prices move down. And it creates this triple test. Also, what I thought is a second entry long. So I thought this is actually a possible trade. So you're near the lows. It's creating lower lows every time. It's technically a localized new high, say first entry long, pullback. There's a potential second entry long. I like that this signal bar is very bullish. There's also triple test, one touch, two touch, three touch. It did break through with these wicks, but I thought something like this might have a push back up because this green down channel has a break, tested and made a new low and made a second attempt now. So I'm thinking there's at least maybe some buying pressure to push it back up at least one tick. And that did. It would have chopped around, kind of consolidating sideways. And then it continues another a gradual leg down. So I'm not thinking of measured moves here anymore because it clearly already violated this measured move. And I looked back and I thought, was there actually another bigger leg here? I'm just going to draw up and quickly delete it because it didn't really help. Something like this. So that doesn't help. Was there another really big leg here? But that just feels like it's too far away. Like this is still so much more to move. So it doesn't even quite look right. So I kind of thinking, okay, let's just clear out the measured legs for now. Prices continue moving down, breaks, tests and makes a new low of day. It's reversing. First entry short, second entry short. Thought this was a second entry short. Unfortunately, it's above the EMA. It is a very bearish downtrend. This orange channel needs to test the low. So I think it's probably, I didn't mark it at the time, but I'm looking back now during this real-time review. Maybe this is potentially worth a trade. So first entry short, second entry short. I wanted a actual touch of the EMA or break below. So I think this is a possible trade, certainly more aggressive. Pushes down and just keeps going downwards. Hits a new low. The first entry short. Actually, you don't get a first entry short till about right here, technical count. Pushes up. You have a second entry short here, but it's kind of far from the EMA. No real setup. I do draw this red up channel going up. Doesn't fit. I mean, it fits semi good. Then it kind of breaks through. First entry long. Potential second entry long failure. So I saw a second entry long failure. It feels like there is two legs. It's not measured because I took a measured last time and I deleted it since then. So actually, I take that back. The measured leg, I think it was a little bit more than exceeded. So when it came down and pressed the second time, and then I deleted these measured legs afterwards, I thought there wasn't really that much more room to go. So I was a little hesitant to think of going short. Looks like it would have worked though. You also get a lower high here. Reverses is first entry short, pullback, second entry short. This big yellow up channel doesn't quite exist yet. The new low is the first entry short, pullback, second entry short, potential failure, but it's just kind of floating in the middle of nowhere. Ends up working though. You get this large kind of sideways consolidation. So I was thinking, okay, there's a double top here, but you could also say it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. I like that it almost bounced off the EMA, but I don't think there really is a trade here. Keep in mind, I kind of knew this was going to happen because this is a review after the fact, is after market close. I didn't see this in real time. So I'm not sure if I would have considered taking a trade or doing anything. Most likely I would have just done nothing. Flushes up. Kind of follows this orange up channel pretty nicely. You have a second entry long here, but it's just kind of a doji. It had an overshoot already, so I'm not ready to take a second entry long in the same direction when there's an overshoot so early. Kind of chops around, moves up. At this point, I drew this top of this trading top of this trend channel and kind of match the bottom, but I don't trust this yellow up channel that much yet because there's not enough confirmation. It just shows an overall contextual bias of it potentially rallying. Presses down, bounces. So here I thought when I came back and reviewed it, I thought there was like a hidden second entry long. It's subtle. So it's a break of this green down channel. It's first, so it's like from new high, it's a first entry long, pullback on the same candle, broke below and also closed above. So it's like a second entry long and it's hidden. It broke above the EMA. Overall bias is long. There's this huge sell-off already. So it does feel a little riskier, a little aggressive, but I like that it closed at the high. So it looks like there's at least enough momentum to get a quick 1-point scalp. Looks like it would have worked. Prices moved up. It's like first entry long, technically a second entry long here. It's a bad signal bar though, because this one's above this one. Kind of reverses, breaks through the EMA. You technically have a new high. It's like a first entry long pullback, second entry long. You could reset the count here. First entry, second entry. But I'm seeing this. Maybe you're thinking it might move back up, but I'm also thinking it might come back down and touch maybe this low. But again, this yellow up channel isn't reliable yet. So there's no good justification to think it might keep coming down, but I wasn't too sure of it moving back up either. It does. You do get a higher low here, but the higher low doesn't finish very convincing. It's already below the 50% point of this bar. It's this kind of sideways consolidation. Prices move up, kind of flushes down in this green down channel, bounces here. So it's actually break of this green down channel and tests the low. So it actually creates a localized new low. It's first entry short. So you could say maybe there's a triple test here, but this just feels a little congested. And it just keeps proving to be a little more congested. At this point, it was when I kind of thought, okay, maybe this yellow up channel, there was some tweaking that was involved, was more valid because I actually had it cut from here up to here. So I had a breakout here, and I had something closer to this in my earlier review. And then later I adjusted it to the current yellow. The prices continue moving up. It's a high. It's a first entry long. It kind of count resets because you hit a new high here. Prices keep moving up. It's just a little sketchy, it feels like. I don't know if there was an announcement or if Trump was saying something or anything was being announced at this point, but it's just a little bit choppy right here. I think a Fed member, FOMC member, was maybe saying something at this time. Prices move up, and then comes back down. Break of this yellow up channel, the first break. It's a new low. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short failure. I thought this is a possible trade. This is the first break of this really strong, clearly bullish yellow up channel. Now, whether you trust this yellow up channel or not, it's starting to fit pretty nicely, but there is a lot of space up here. It's the first break. It's also the break of this green down channel right here. It did come down and make a new low. So I'm thinking the down channel of this green has played out, and it could be reversing. So first entry short, second entry short, decent signal bar for failure on the second entry short. Pushes up. Then prices continue moving. Excuse me. I also like this. It broke above the EMA. Kind of pushes up on this red up channel. I thought there was potentially a measure of the move, one leg up here. Why I didn't take this one and drag it up to here is simply because when it came up to here, there's such a big pullback. I thought this constitutes one clean leg, then pull back, and I'll start the second leg up here. So it kind of hits this measured move. So I'm watching carefully for potential rejection. It's also creating a new high of days. It's the first entry long, pullback. Technically, yeah, second entry long here is below the EMA. I don't really like that. You don't quite get a higher low, unfortunately, to try to jump in on this. Prices move. It's a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback. Second entry long pushes up. I'm thinking there's a triple test. It tried 3 times to break above this line. It's also making lower highs each subsequent time. And with this big flush down, I thought, okay, there's a possible trade here. The thing I don't really like is this bar is 26 ticks, but I do like it moved 1 tick above this guy. And not only did it close, it pushed below, engulfed this thing entirely, but it also closed 1 tick below this guy. So it's very decisively a big red candle down. So I thought, okay, this is actually a pretty strong move down, creating successive lower highs. I'm in a range, top of the range, that might be good enough for a trade, but I wasn't there in real time, so hard to say. Then it creates a lower high here. This lower high I thought was also a possible trade because there's also what I saw as a new low, first entry short, second entry short. So second entry short, also a lower high of this setup. So potentially a trade here. I wasn't too concerned about the EMA bounce just because it's too flat at this point. Pushes down, breaks out to the low side, kind of bounces. It looks like it's in a range here. It's just choppy. These candles with these bodies are really small. It creates this triple test, 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, and a potentially higher low. I also saw it as you could also consider it, if you're counting it, if you didn't quite see it as a range, you could see it as like a first entry long pullback, second entry long, good signal bar. If you're looking at it as a second entry long, triple test, it is also a higher low. It's a little aggressive though, because unlike this setup, the EMA is starting to act as a potential resistance because you can see more of the trades and more of the bars are below the EMA, whereas over here, prices are moving above and below the EMA. So it's almost as if the EMA is non-existent, whereas there could be some kind of resistance or respect being paid to the EMA. So maybe a little more cautious and consider a little bit more aggressive. Kind of breaks out and up, break of the green up channel, test the high, comes back down, and it's just getting whippy. Per the Forex Factory, it's saying that President Trump was coming out and he was giving a press conference. So this might be when he was chatting and just kind of creating a lot of volatility. Kind of moves sideways, presses down on this green down channel, break, tests the low, comes back up on this orange up channel. No real clean setups. I did see something here, but it's too late in the day because this is at timestamp 12:53. So there's only 7 minutes left, but I thought it was a measured leg for sure. First entry long, pullback, second entry long, good signal bar. It is an inside bar though, but it's not even worth taking because there's just no real time left. It looks like there's quite a bit of price action, but this is actually only 7 minutes. And as you can see, it's just people closing out their positions or rolling them. So an interesting day. I wasn't able to participate in real time. It's okay. It's still good for me to chart review it. And just, I guess, lucky or just happy to have that one trade early on to at least end the day green and kind of at least get some more trading in than I have been this week. So that's kind of how I saw it. Hopefully that was helpful.